I like, she looks amazing. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
my hair is out for today. Okay.
So, hello everyone. We're here with Lulit. Sometimes she prefers to be called Lila, but I don't know why. I just find her name to be so beautiful. I don't even know why you would want to change it.
Oh, okay. Like my growing up, my family and my friends called me Lila. So Lila, Lily. So nobody really called me Luli. It was like
Hmm.
more like an ID, like a official name. So like nobody in my life calls me Lulit unless it's like it was a teacher or like an office thing, official thing. So yeah,
Right,
you can
right.
call me whatever you want. I'm
I
fine.
don't know. Like I try to call you Lila, and it just sounds like it's not you. So I'm like, what is going on with me?
I feel the same for both, but I feel like Lila is way easier to pronounce as well. So yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, whatever makes you
Which one
comfortable.
do you prefer?
I don't really care, but like I feel like if you keep like when people use Lulit, like I go to this official. Oh, okay, like in this. Okay, like proper way, but like
Okay, we don't
you
want that
know,
today. So I'll make a point to call you Lila.
yeah.
Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Okay, I'm Lila and I'm from Ethiopia and I just moved here in February this year to US and I'm a QHHT and BQH practitioner.
Yeah, and for those of you that might not know, QHHT is, what we call it, but a lot of people know it as quantum healing hypnosis technique, and BQH is beyond quantum healing. And in the YouTube channel that you're watching now, what we do is that we cover both. So that's why I wanted to bring Lila on today, just so you guys can see someone else's experience, another practitioner experience. She has done a lot of sessions, and I just want to get her input on really her experience with both quantum healing and beyond quantum healing. To me, it's the same. The difference is that BQH, we do it online. So it
Yeah.
can be done online, but it can also be done in person. And I find that actually a combination of both makes each session so powerful. I don't know if you have found the same thing.
Well, I just started BQH, so I'm all like diving into the BQH sessions, and I really find it interesting because I've never thought like hypnosis or past life regression can be done online. So the fact that we are able to connect far
Mm-hmm.
away, that's also very incredible. And also the QHST in me also jumps in the BQH session, and then the BQH, like as you said, like it's like matching and taking one from the other, and then taking one experience, and then with the other, then mixing it, and like for the
Right.
great experience. Yeah,
Right, blending both together becomes very
yeah,
powerful.
yeah, for sure.
Someone emailed me last week wanting to know. It's another practitioner, and she wanted to know if she should take BQH. And I'm like, like of course I'm going to say yes, because I have
Yeah,
found it to be
yeah,
extremely flexible, and for us the practitioner also, sometimes when we get a little stuck because the client gets stuck, right,
yeah,
it's easier for us to give us the permission to be and say, okay, well, let's try this or
yeah,
let's try that.
yeah. The idea of being flexible, like you're not following the exact thing is okay. I can adjust according to the client. So that's
Right.
yeah.
And have you found, Lila, that when you go to do quantum healing online, BQH,
Mhm.
have you found that the subconscious takes over and is the one in charge for the most part? Like, one of the main concerns that we have when we do quantum healing, QHHT, is that it can be very traumatic to the life that the people go, and therefore that's why
Yeah,
we don't do it online.
yeah,
Where BQH, we do it online because we know that the higher self is in control, and therefore we don't have to, we know the higher self is taking the person where they need to go, and they're going to be able to manage it.
Yeah. Yeah, from the experience I had, the BQH, I didn't find any traumatic experience for the clients. It was more going to deeper version of themselves where they're connected with the source, the love. They felt like it was not more very traumatic where they can, like, you needed to be in person there with them. So I'm pretty sure the higher self or subconscious would not let them go through that very traumatic scenarios where they can't function. So,
Right. I just find that fascinating because some of the quantum healing online sessions that I have done, a lot of them tend to be very strong sessions where it is unbelievable the things that happen. The healing that occurs is mind blowing, and it is online. And I'm like,
yeah.
wow, like,
No, that's the thing. Like, I didn't expect it to be that strong in an online session, very powerful. And even with our session, like, it was so powerful, like our energy, like you're far away
yeah,
from me, but we felt all the energies. That's like
yeah.
the power of our connectedness in a way.
Oh my God, I gotta tell you, that was one of like my favorite sessions. I'm not even lying to you. Like, I'm not even making this up. Like,
Yeah, I
I
felt it.
loved your session. Like the
Yeah.
energy, like I went so deep to a point where at one point I did feel like I had to like restrict myself because I was like full trance, like deep, like ayahuasca trance style, like where you
Mm.
just go so deep that you don't know where you are.
Yeah.
At one point, that's what I felt. And then I felt my higher self like really just take over. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a dragon.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, that was like pretty cool. Even for me, like I felt like with our session, I met like my true self, like my higher self. It was beautiful, it was loving, and I've never felt that before.
Wow.
So, and then the fact that we did that online is to show
Yeah.
that nothing is impossible.
I do remember you saying like, oh my God, I just wanted to be done, but you kept, you were smiling the whole time.
Yeah, it was so confusing. Like my conscious mind, my ego was like, oh my god, she needs to stop. I just need like needs to be done. No more questions. But like my higher self, I can feel the love it had for you, for me, for the session, and then keep answering you with a smile. And then my
I
face is
know.
smiling. It was like,
I'm like, what she see must be really beautiful because she just keeps smiling. And then you get up and you're like, I was so done. I just wanted to be done. And you're like, what?
I
Like,
know. So like yeah, that's my higher self completely took over my body, and then I could feel the love, like the
right.
unconditional love, the patience that they had, which I don't usually have in my day-to-day life.
So you knew it was different.
It was like no, yeah, it was 100% different than like who I am, and then I could feel like who I am, like my ego, my consciousness, like getting, oh, I'm tired, like I needed this to stop, like I don't want to go deeper. And then you were asking these important questions, and I didn't want to know in a way the answers. I didn't want to go deep. So, but my higher self was like, yeah, we welcome all the questions. We're here for the love. And it's like, okay. And I was smiling. So,
Right. I thought that was so funny because that happens often where when the client goes under and we're like, we already have talked for a couple of hours. Sometimes it's more than that.
yeah,
And by the time that we get to the session, the client is like, God, I just want to be done, right? So they're like so excited. And the moment they go under, they're like, I am tired. And then they don't want to continue. They get stuck in sometimes when the higher self is trying to break through and
yeah,
make something like a huge jump into who they are. A lot of people have this pull where they just want to retreat and not continue.
yeah,
And I find that that's when really we have to push harder.
yeah,
I don't know if you found the same thing.
yeah. for sure you have to push harder because like your physical body might feel exhausted in a way like, oh, I've been laying down here for a while now, and your conscious mind is like, oh, can't we just, get up and like go back to normal, like,
Right.
so
And
yeah,
that's
it's
the
really,
ego mind.
that's the ego mind, and you
Right.
have to, trying to quiet that down and then go through the process, because it's unbelievable what you see and what you experience. It's worth it. So
Right, right. And I did a video a couple of days ago on, I don't know if I published that video. Sometimes I forget to publish them. But I think it was about the ego death and like how we go through that in quantum
mm-hmm,
healing.
mm,
And I think you experienced something like that because at one point you were with Source and it was like Source, but it was your happy place, your healing
yeah,
place.
yeah,
Can you tell us more about that?
yeah. So the whole intention of the session that time was to let go of any fear, anything that no longer serves me. So the fact that my higher self took me to where like I can tap in whenever I want to this source of energy, like this love, this unconditional love and support, and protect, like knowing that I'm protected anytime. And then I can just tap into that energy is so beautiful. Like that was like the most
Right,
beautiful experience ever, because I I felt like I was like a kid, like a baby, and then like there's like team of guides and like loving energy supporting me like unconditionally. It was not like,
right,
oh, like I need to be this to be this, but it was like you are loved, like
right,
you're safe. There's no need to fear or anything. So yeah, I went into this place. It was full of light, like white light, and uh, it was a part of me in a way, like it's not like something outside of me. It was a part of me, and then like that's there every time whenever I
mm-hmm.
wanted. It's just me going to that vibration and frequency and tapping in, and
Right.
that's the most like, yeah, like I can't even think, like I don't have the word to express that feeling, because I'm pretty sure I didn't even express it very well while under, because like for me it was like mind blowing. I was like a baby, like I knew I was safe. I was
That's
protected.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that came out exactly like that because
Yeah.
I've at one point there were big questions that I wanted to ask, but
Yeah.
I felt so protected of your energy that every time I wanted to ask something really like maybe something that you didn't even want to ask,
Yeah.
and that it was along the path of what we were going through. See, I always felt like somebody had their hands right here trying to tell me
Yeah.
like, okay, take a step back, take a step back. And I
Yeah.
remember this push, like wanting to protect you, but at the same time wanting to ask those questions and like,
Yeah.
no, at the right time, at the right time.
Yeah. I definitely, because I feel like that was like that special session was only for me to see like how there was so much love for me, like I'm protected, and we wanted to go deeper than like, like point by point, but higher self had a different
Right,
idea, and it was like, oh, you are in this beautiful place, you are loved, like there's nothing to be fear of or scared of, and you're protected, and enjoy it. And then I remember like jumping around, I was barefoot, and I can feel I'm like in this white light place, and then I can feel I was like a kid, something
mm-hmm.
like 9 or 10, and I'm just jumping around, like screaming and running around. It felt like so beautiful, and in a way, I kind of healed my inner child as
That's
well.
beautiful.
Like, yeah, I felt safe, and today I don't have any fear at all, because I know I'm safe, and there's like this unconditional love for me whenever I want it. So
That's beautiful. Yeah. Sometimes we think like a session is no amazing because we want to see butterflies and like
yeah,
have this like major like whoa. But what the client is going through is completely different than what is humanly possible for them to
Yeah,
speak, which
exactly.
happens also in sacred plant medicine when you go through
Uh-huh.
in ayahuasca or San Pedro or Iboga or I don't know, any of those, right?
Yeah.
You've seen so many things, but you
Yeah.
can only say like one tiny little thing out of the whole thing that you're experiencing.
Yeah, definitely. And also after the session, like things comes to you, like after you in like the next day and the next few days, like with your dream and like with like every day-to-day life, I was like, oh, something pop up. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Like you get some pointers, like subtle changes to see uh,
Right.
on your behavior and like who you are as well. And then there's a lot of self realization, which I think is very important. So,
Absolutely. Like I remember the first time that I did my quantum healing session, I had to listen 4 times to my recording before I believed.
yeah,
Like I was in denial, and then I'll be like, oh, let me listen. And then I'll be like, wow, I don't remember ever saying that. And then I'll
yeah,
listen again and I'll be like, oh my goodness, and that wasn't there before. Like,
yeah. And like your session, like when the higher self comes in, like your voice changes, and that's like very freaky. It's like, oh, why do I sound like that? It's more like firm and very kind, very loving, and then like there's a change of voice, like with
right.
yeah.
And I have found that sometimes the voice changes depending on
Mhm.
who's coming through.
Yeah.
Because I don't think a lot of people realize that sometimes we have more than one higher self.
Mhm.
And because we're connected with source, if what we like, for example, if I'm working on fears, it might be different than you working on fears. Like
Mhm.
you needed that loving energy because you needed to feel safe, right?
Yeah.
Where somebody else might be working on fears and they might be getting like an infusion of strength because they need to, I don't know, they need to do X, Y, and Z, right? So a different energy comes through that might be part of your higher self. I
Yeah.
seen different people that have higher self that are more than 3 4 people higher selves,
Mhm.
and they take turns depending on who's going
Mm.
to work on the person.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting.
Right. So I always find that interesting because sometimes with the Awakening the Healer within training program, what I have seen is that the higher self is not always the same person sometimes,
Mm.
depending the same energy, depending on what they're
Yeah.
working on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
When I did my session with you, it's crazy because I've been channeling information for a concept that is pretty big, and like I've been working on this for a while. And I remember going in and like my hands were in, like I was in this spaceship, and my hands have like some kind of weird gloves, and I had surgery on them. And
Mm.
let me tell you what happened. They were swollen. My mother was like, what's going on with your hands? My hands were swollen for, I think it was 3 5 days after starting
Wow.
that day. So something major happened.
Yeah, it did. Oh my God.
Yeah, I should have taken a picture, but I didn't, like I didn't really think much of it. And
Yeah.
but they were in a lot of discomfort, swollen, like real swollen, like you could see that they were bigger. And I couldn't grab, like I couldn't, my phone, I couldn't do this. Like I had to do it like this because I couldn't hold it like tight. I couldn't wash dishes. I couldn't do anything. So it was like a mini vacation, a painful little vacation. But
It was
um,
your hands were healing like from the surgery then. Like that.
I guess
Yeah.
because I remember that when we did the session, first thing I saw is the spaceship, and then I'm like lying on a bed,
Yeah.
and this woman comes, she's like writing things, and then next thing you know, um, they work on my hands, and then there are 2 doctors behind me. I think I'm going to put that session online too. um, you gave me permission to share yours, so I'm going to do that too. But when you go through that session, I remember seeing my hands, and it's in the recording. So I
Mm.
was listening to the recording, and that's when it clicked. I forgot that I had seen my hands. And
Yeah.
then I'm going through my notes, and I always write everything, I document everything I can. And I'm like, holy Jesus, this is because of this. It took me a minute to
Yeah.
realize it. But, like, it's crazy what happens in the quantum
Yeah.
has a direct effect on us here,
Yeah. Yeah.
just like we can heal when we do surgeries. The same thing
Mm-hmm.
happens. We still have to go through the healing recuperation process.
Yeah.
That
Wow.
was wild. I,
That
I
was
couldn't believe it.
wild. Yeah. Like me and you meeting was it was like it was there was some energy going on there and it was beautiful and yeah, I felt some a difference from like the other sessions I had and yeah, that was amazing.
What do you mean? How was it different?
The connection we had, even though it was online and we've never met before. We're both strangers, and then well, let's swap session, and we're like, oh, this is like constant comfort with you that I felt, and like I can feel like you were there to bringing something out of me, and I
And
felt.
likewise, yeah, I think we all bring the client and the practitioner
Mm-hmm.
together. Like whoever people decide to go with, there has to be something. If you hear in your mind like that's the one, it's for a reason. Like
Yeah,
there is something that they have that you need and something that you're going to give that practitioner as
yeah,
well. It's an exchange.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely love that session because one of the things that I noticed with a lot of practitioners is how the whole process is rushed. Like I cannot tell you how many sessions I have had because it's too many. But
Yeah.
there's some practitioners that are, and the reason why I had so many, I remember when I started with quantum healing, I was looking and I didn't know what I was looking for. And it was in my dreams, I was being trained to go through past lives and doing quantum healing sessions on my dreams, and
Mm-hmm.
like really like studying besides obviously the certification process with quantum healing online, right?
Yeah.
But I remember how they had me go through different practitioners to pick up different pieces, and it's all a puzzle. And what they were teaching me is when the Awakening the Healer training progress started, it was because it was channel, and the intergalactic healers came through and requested with the Arturians to do the program. And that's when everything clicked, because it was like, people normally we do one session, right? Normally we most people will need one session,
Yeah.
but those that are awakening and that are going through their awakening process need more than one session, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I went through different sessions to pick up the
Mm-hmm.
pieces. I guess I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
I was just trying to make sure that I get most of my training, and like normally when you belong to one of these groups, you trade with the practitioners, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And at that point, I just thought that we were just training, blah, blah, blah. But then everything clicked when they came through to give me the pieces and said, this is why people that are going through their awakening need more than one session, because it's almost like putting the pieces together. And when you're going through the awakening, there is so much going on that it will be impossible for someone to like go through that awakening in one session, right?
Yeah.
What do you find like most people work on when they come for quantum healing in person? Like, what do you feel like is the number, I don't know, one, two, three that they
Well,
work on?
the one thing most all of them have is what's my purpose.
Yes.
That's that's in everybody's question. And the other one is like there's a lot of curiosity of like, oh, the clients I have is more of new to the spiritual journey, so they're more curious about, oh, like past lives and
Mm-hmm.
just curiosity of like karma. Do I have like, oh, my do I live with do I have life with my husband or my sister, something like that, which also can be good, like just to know what's going on. And the other thing I would say is a lot of trauma, childhood trauma. People want to let go of the anger they had, they carry from their childhood.
Right.
And that's the main thing I would say. A lot of people want to do qhht or bqh is like they want to let go of the anger they carry from their childhood. And there's a lot of childhood traumas like they carry to this day, and they want to
Right.
let
And
go.
what type of healing are you noticing with your sessions?
A lot of for me, the thing I noticed a lot is like people want to know that they're loved, so the fact that they go to this trance and then they meet their own higher self, or they go to the source and they see there's like amazing love, like they're loved like unconditionally. That's all, like that's the best healing out there. If
Mm-hmm.
you carry a lot of anger from your childhood, like one thing you want to do is love your
Right.
inner child. Yeah. So, and that makes them emotional more than like knowing. I usually say, do you have any message, or like, like higher self always giving them all their loved, I love her, we love her, we love him, and she's supported, she's like
Mm-hmm.
this thing. As I give them they make them emotional, and then you can see
Right.
it in their face, their
A bit
you know
different.
a bit different, because
Yeah.
that's what at the end of the day I think all human wants is love. So knowing that they're like unconditionally loved is the most healing of all, and also getting
Absolutely.
answers for their questions as well. But the most I would say is the feeling of this unconditional love coming through from their guides, the source, and their own higher self.
Right, right. And once that person can tap into that feeling, it's
Yeah,
such like it's something that doesn't go away. Like you can
yeah,
always carry that feeling forward no matter what.
yeah.
So with the sessions that you're doing, have you noticed anything interesting in regards to the type of people that are coming to you for healing sessions?
Yeah, I had a client a few months back. I've never met this guy, and we connected right away. We were doing in-person session, and uh, me and him had basically connected, and like he could see my life, my past life, while he was under trance. And the higher self, the message from his guides was coming through to me as well. They were telling me, "Oh, this message is not for him, this is for you." And I have never met this guy before. And like when he get up at the end, and he was like, you live this and this, you have lived this. He was telling me my past life that I had experienced through past life regression. So I that was very interesting, and knowing, and it was also I at that time I kind of stopped for some time meditating or like getting into my inward. And like the first message I got from this guy guides was, "I'm forgetting, you're forgetting." And that was like, oh, okay, like kind of a wake up call.
Yeah.
And the fact that this guy I've never met before was like, oh my god, this is mind blowing. And we connected right away, and I think that was pretty cool.
Right. I do I do hear that message all the time where
Yeah,
people have to I don't think I never have heard the message of the higher self coming through and saying, you got to meditate, you got to meditate. I should have it recorded and just play it all the time. You got to
yeah,
meditate, you got to
yeah,
meditate.
yeah, you're forgetting.
Right. Because obviously a lot of people don't take that time, but once they do, something magical happens, right?
Yeah,
like you immediately pick it back up and you immediately know like how to surrender to that feeling.
Yeah. And I was even given a visualization exercise from his guides, and he had an outer planet Earth experience, and it was coming through from a different um, planet. And he was telling me, his guides were telling me that like what I need to visualize when I meditate, and then this and that. And I was like, okay, you know, it was pretty cool. And yeah, I
Why did
still
he?
do that to this day.
That's beautiful. And how was his healing?
His healing was amazing. Like he felt connected with his guides. He saw his one, like the most important life in his past life for this life, and he also saw his different life in other time and space. And he connected with his higher self and guides the most. And the most thing that he got out of it was he met his soul family
Beautiful.
through, yeah, his guides were showing him how he was preparing to come to planet Earth and all of that things. And then he met his soul family, and then he can't wait to go to them again. Now he can have that experience, and then he's also told how to connect with them whenever he wanted to. So to this day, I get a message from him and saying, you know, we keep in touch, because for us it was really uh, emotional, and I
Yeah,
could feel uh, the love that he was receiving, and then we were both emotional. I was emotional as a practitioner because it was very beautiful session.
yeah, it sounds like it was a beautiful session.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you experienced what do you recommend for people to do to get ready for the quantum healing session so that by the time that they get to the session, they're fully surrendering to the process, if I can call it that?
I mean, the first thing I'd say is no expectation. You know, come with zero expectation. Maybe have the knowledge of quantum healing if you want to, but like, yeah, no expectation. Just let your higher self or your guides take you where you wanna, you know, go. You wanna go to, and also uh, like be open to any experience, because you don't know, like you can't really even though you watch a lot of YouTube videos or you read
Yes,
like all Dolores's books, it might not be the same. Like every experience is unique, so be prepared. Just come with no expectation, and also be open for, because like with the interview part, the talking part is very
it's
key.
very, yeah, it's very
Yeah,
important.
yeah. So uh you know, like if you really want to heal, if you want to do the work, yeah, do the work.
Right. And I
Yeah,
I definitely 100% agree with everything you have said. Number one, even if you do other type of healing, whether it is plant medicine or I don't know, any even when you do Akashic records meditation, you have to surrender to the process.
yeah,
Like you really do have to surrender.
yeah,
And when I mean surrendering, it's like there is no expectation of what
yeah,
can happen
yeah,
because you're not the one in control anymore. Your
yeah,
lower mind, your ego mind is not in control.
yeah,
So by surrendering, you allow full access to the higher self to show you what needs to be shown at the moment.
yeah,
It might
definitely.
not be wow, because sometimes
No,
that
yeah,
happens. Sometimes those
yeah,
are boring life where we don't see the clues.
yeah,
And then when the higher self comes, it's like, well, we have to show them this because this, and
yeah.
then it makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah, it
Right.
doesn't have to be all this outer space experience or some epic thing you have to experience. It's just a little subtle change also are very important.
Exactly.
that's what you need at this time and moment. So yeah, no expectation, and also being ready to be like the best version of you, you
To
know.
be vulnerable too, because when you're
Yeah,
doing the interview part, right, when you're talking
yeah,
to the client, sometimes you feel like people are shielding themselves,
yeah,
and you cannot get through, and it's 3 hours in and you're still trying to figure out why they're
yeah,
here.
yeah. I mean, if you're taking time here, if you're like taking a time out of a day, your busy day, just make take advantage of it and make the best out of it, you know, and do. And I like people who like tell me everything, like, you know, talk and talk and talk, share everything from your childhood to this day. That's really helpful for the practitioners as well, and also for the clients. So
Right, right.
yeah,
So what I notice sometimes is that people think that when we ask some questions, it's because we, like we want to, like it reminds me of like the old ladies that they get together and they gossip.
yeah,
This is nothing like that. Like
no,
whatever is told to us in these sessions is completely confidential.
mm-hmm.
But not only that, like because we're doing this type of healing, we have seen it all. Like we have seen a lot,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, we're
So
not going to
nothing you
surprise.
say,
You're
yeah,
going, yeah,
nothing you say is gonna make us feel like, like I think a lot of people feel like they cannot be vulnerable because we're gonna judge them, we're
yeah,
gonna think the worst of them, or
yeah,
who
yeah,
knows what's going through their mind, right?
yeah. And they think it might be too much for us, or it's like too much information, but like we heard it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's crazy because sometimes when I meet with some of my clients and they tell me, no, I never share this with anyone, but they've been
yeah,
doing therapy for 10 years and they never share some
yeah,
of the really deep things that they had to share with that therapist in order
yeah,
to heal those aspects because it never came up. I'm like, how
yeah,
did this not come up? And you've been in therapy for 5, 10 years. Like,
yeah, yeah. And also in the interview part, I saw a lot of people also feel relief talking to, even like the healing begins there, because
right,
usually, like you said, most people don't share about their personal thing they go through. So they, if they come here and then talk and you listen to them openly, and it's like the healing, I feel better already without
right.
even going in the
Yeah.
hypnosis. Yeah.
I have had some clients that say, I don't think I need a session anymore. Like, I know you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going in.
Yeah.
So what else do you, I think I call you off when you were giving us your way that you like to have clients prepare for their sessions.
Yeah. Like I said, no expectation, and then I usually tell them like what to expect, like before the session, after the session, the structure of it, what we do, just to give them a heads up. It's hard for someone just to show up and then not knowing
Right,
anything. So just a little bit of what we're going to do. But if they want, they can go look anything they want. But the most important is not having any expectation, and then also being willing to talk and you know put the time and the work in it, and also not only before the session, after the session, listening to
to the
the
recording.
recording. Yeah, doing the work, do what your higher self tells you to do.
Right.
And yeah, a little bit of change, not it's not going to change everything in a one day, but like a step by step, okay, just
It's a
yeah,
process.
it's a process.
Right.
Yeah,
And sometimes you will hear the higher self say, it's going to be 3 to 6 months before so and so, before
yeah,
this happens, or sometimes it's
yeah,
3 weeks, sometimes it has been 12 months where they
yeah,
say something like this is going to take time because we don't want to destroy the human body.
yeah. And also, I sometimes hear from higher self, oh, that trauma is not addressed yet. It needs to be addressed. It needs to be to work on. Like there's a first step the clients have to take for them to did the
Mm-hmm.
healing. You know, there's a part of us like, you know, like there's the free will of it. So like they can't
Yeah.
just come in and change everything for you.
No, you gotta ask. That's a
You gotta ask.
huge important point, right? Because
Yes.
even the higher self comes through and they said she's no or he's no allowing access,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
cannot do anything if you don't provide that access, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to do the work you're told to do. You have to do, like for example, for me, my thing is always ground yourself, do this to ground, you know. So if I'm not doing what I have to ground myself, I'm not gonna reap the benefit of my
Exactly.
experience. Yeah. So even though you can feel all the healing instantly, like there are some things also you as a human have to work to get to.
Yeah, yeah, there is always the other part, and that's the
Yeah.
human part. They
Yeah.
can affect the energy, right? Because
Yeah.
they work with the quantum energy.
Yeah.
But in this human body, we need to do our part. Like I remember
Yeah.
for me, and they talked about the last session that I did with you, and they said, well, she know, like in the previous sessions I have been asking about the implant, the stomach implant, and that's
Mm-hmm.
taken care of, so I should be losing weight. And then they're like, but she's not doing her part. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I thought it was gonna be like magic. Of course I knew better, but you know, it's
Yeah.
just funny how they, you
Yeah.
know, it's
Like you
true. I
can't
like,
you can't cheat the way out of it, you know?
right, like it does, just because you're not eating meat and you know, like you're trying to be vegan and this and that doesn't mean that it's healthy. Like
Yeah.
eating a lot of breads and carbs, that's not going to
Yeah.
help much.
Yeah.
They should be able to work their magic with that.
Yeah. Instant.
Yeah. So you know, one of the things that you said that I found to be completely true with us giving permission, not only we have to give permission for them to come through during the session, right? But what I have found throughout the years working in the occult and working with now with quantum healing is that every night before we go to sleep, we got a command by doing an intention. We're commanding the dream, just like we're commanding the higher self to come through in a quantum healing, and the same way that we should be commanding the higher self to come through when we meditate, right?
Yeah.
But also to command the higher self to be the one that works with us constantly. Like that will change people's life if we do that. Only if we
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Forget it. You don't even have to do quantum healing. You don't even have to do
Yeah.
meditation. All you gotta do is say, you know, from now on and every day repeat it. I command my higher self to come through and walk with me,
Yeah.
right? And speak through me, think through me, and you will
Yeah.
see like how different our lives will be if we do that.
Yeah. Yeah. With anything, let alone higher self, even like we listen to our intention, in I mean intuition, like whenever we do little things, if we put intention to it, like even like when you're drinking tea,
Right.
like putting an intention to that tea is completely makes difference, you know. Like we have this powerful, uh we're so powerful. Like sometimes people really, I feel like we're more powerful than the tools we use, you know, whether you use crystals or other things that are useful, but at the end of the day, they're tools. Like
They're
you,
tools. Yeah.
yeah, you got the power. So
Mm-hmm.
with your intention, you can do anything. And then listening,
Absolutely.
yeah, listening to your intuition as well in day to day, like small things, doesn't have to be big. That
Mm-hmm.
also develops your connection with your higher self,
Right.
and then you'll be totally a different person if you just let the higher self walk in and come through every time you do something, or like you're existing with your higher self. That would be beautiful.
Right. Right. It's
Yeah.
I recently had a, when was, I don't know, it's been a long time, but I was going through my notes and I was like, you know, I write my journals for my dreams and my trance and my revelations, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
going through one of them and it's like if they show me the side of it, of the face and going through the mouth, and like they show me like how powerful the power of the words is, and
Mm.
like how it becomes that ancient stuff that we used to have in ancient
Yeah.
time. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. The
Yeah.
word in some of the ancient scriptures becomes the sword, and that
Yeah.
sword, it's, you can use it for good or you can use it for bad. Same thing with our words, right? Like
Yeah.
we're spelling, we're making casting spell with the things that
Yeah.
we say to ourselves and others
Yeah.
around us.
Yeah. And also the I am is very powerful. Like whether you use it I am and as a positive or I am as something, that's who you are. It's
Right.
like you said, you're spelling it. You're casting a spell.
Yeah,
It's very powerful, the conversation we had with ourselves, especially.
absolutely.
And yeah, and little things, I try to do. I'm not saying I'm like good at this, but I try to do with little things. Drinking water. What's my intention when I drink water? What do I say to my water, to my
Hmm.
tea, and to my food?
Or to
So,
you, oyster mushrooms in the back.
oh yay!
I used to do that so much for the restaurant when I had the vegan restaurant.
Oh, yeah, they're so beautiful. I mean,
I know, I love them. I'm a mushroom holic.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm getting into mushrooms now more. I'm getting very interested. Yeah, but even yeah, you said like even talking to your plants,
Mm-hmm.
it's like talking to your garden and everything you do. If you put any like an intention and be mindful, you can see changes through like
Powerful changes. Yeah.
powerful changes. Yeah.
I agree. I totally agree. Is there any last minute messages that you would like to give those that are connecting with us? And tell us how they can reach out to you.
Yeah, they can. I guess you can put my links in the description
Yeah.
box, and they can find me on Instagram and my website as well. Email. They can reach me in those things. If they use Facebook as well, they can find me there. But one thing I would want to say, what I gained from this experience as a practitioner and then as a client as well, is there's so much love for all of us out there, and we all are loved, and it
Yeah.
just I can't even express it how it's not like a husband or a parent's love. It's something like very undescribable, unconditional love. When I say people use unconditional love, like it's nothing, but it's like literally like we are the love.
Right.
And it might be tough sometimes with our day-to-day life, with what's going on in the whole world, but know that we are loved, we are all one, we're the source, part of the source, and then we are the power. We all are the power. So
Yeah.
yeah, I want emphasis on the love part of it. It's yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget when
Yeah.
we're going through challenges, when we need to remember that we're powerful and that we create our future, right? It's
Yeah.
hard to do, to recognize that when sometimes, I don't know, I remember when I had a restaurant, I had a huge building and I had, oh my God, so many expenses every month. Like, I
Mm.
am seriously saying like the expenses were at least probably over 25,000 just to be okay, right? To
Yeah.
like make the bills. And yeah, of course we always made it, but it was hard to remember those moments that were so powerful and that we're creating when we're thinking that we lack, that we have
Yeah.
to pay, that we have to do this. And it took me, I don't know, it took me like a year and a half to get over this mentality of
Mm.
um, recognizing my power, but at the same time fighting it constantly.
Yeah.
Like when you're fighting constantly, I mean like a war, like
Yeah.
in my mind, like, I'm powerful. No, you're
Yeah.
not. I'm powerful. No, you're not. Like,
Yeah.
stop.
We are the most harsh critics of ourselves.
Right.
It's like no one is harsher than ourselves for ourselves. So it's like knowing that, that self love. It's
Right.
not like the trendy self-love. It's the unconditional. There's like we are the love and
Right.
tapping into that feeling of being loved, and we're just more than this meat walking around, or we're yeah, yeah, we're love.
Yes, I used to talk to the building, to the plants, to the customers before they arrive. I used to like go through my whole thing, right? Like
Yeah,
connecting all of us together. And
yeah.
remember, this is during the last year and a half, it was during COVID.
Mm.
So obviously we didn't have customers rolling in left and right. It was
Mm.
like, like
Yeah,
we had in Florida, we had the lockdown. So it was only to go for many months. And,
yeah,
like I used to worry. Somehow everything always worked out. Always,
yeah,
always. And I'm talking about 25,000 per month, 25,000 a month
yeah,
to make sure that we had the lights on, that we paid the mortgage and this and that.
yeah,
And I was like, that doesn't include payroll or this or that. And I was
yeah,
like, I don't know how it just happened. And I would just talk to the building, talk to the plants, and like try to be in this meditative mode, but at the same time in my mind, oh God, oh God, yes, we can do this, oh God, oh God, yes, you can. And you was like this for like a year and a half. Like I don't know how, I don't know how to, because I think everybody has to go through this at one point or another, where they have to recognize their own power. And it's not an
yeah.
overnight situation, like
No, yeah,
it takes time, right?
yeah. And also one other thing that can help us move from uh, to higher frequencies, gratitude in a way. It might be everything might not going well as we planned, but like there are things that's going well. For example, we woke up today, so we're alive. So being grateful for those things that we achieved today also bring in more to our life.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, gratitude also, yeah, a great way to attract more abundance to our yeah.
Yeah, something that made me go through that year and a half when I was going through that, it was mantras and listening to specific mantras. And I'm talking about listening, I'm not talking about like 10 minutes. I will meditate for 2 3 hours every
Wow.
day just to make sure that I could make it out. And like this fight that I had, that I could like reset
Yeah.
it. And then the next day start again, reset it. The next day, like, it's constantly working on yourself.
For sure, definitely. And it's not gonna, like, we're human, so our lesson won't end. It's like constant learning. So
Yeah.
we're growing every day, and I would say don't be hard on yourself.
She's young, but she's very wise, guys. Well, I'm going to put, can you give us the website?
The website www.lulityimam.com, and my IG, which I'm active on that, LILA underscore YIMAM, Lila
Beautiful.
Yimam. Yeah. And yeah,
And we'll put it in the description as
yeah,
well.
yeah. I have a foreigner name, so it might be hard to catch.
No, it's not hard at all. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining us today. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Yes, I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Hopefully, we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, yeah, let's keep in touch.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.